very, very important.
No,
It is
that's
not
not it.
enough.
That's not what I want.
Bad basketball. The refs killed the game, and I will be the first
this is
to
awful
admit.
too.
Texans who will forever regret passing on Johnny
Is that serious
Manziel.
right now?
Golden Boy's coming back.
And he wants to come back.
Dancing with the Stars?
And
Dancing with the
he
Stars?
called out Conor McGregor.
Oh, shit.
No, that's true.
No.
Yes.
Hey,
It's a true
motherfucker.
story.
This I can get into.
And welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. I am Kyle Sanders. Sitting next to me is...
Chris America. How you doing, guys? How you doing, Kyle? And we brought in our favorite sub. Ski.
What's up?
Oh, I
What's
thought
up,
you were
Ski?
going Firehouse Subs.
Firehouse subs, too.
That's a sponsor now. Do you bring that sponsor with you, sir?
I think I did.
I would like a hook and ladder sub, please.
Nope, meatball's only one.
What?
Yes, meatball all day.
I mean, it's good, but you got to try some different things, you know? You can't be one-sided with your subs.
I don't discriminate when it comes to subs.
Listen, not to slander our new sponsor, Firehouse Subs, but Public Subs is way better.
For hot subs, you gotta go.
Yeah, I guess for hot subs.
The chicken tender sub at
No,
Publix
yeah, the chicken tender
is
sub
by
is
far
legit.
the best
Especially
I have
when-
ever had.
Yeah.
Ever.
Especially when it's on sale, because I mean, it's like $8.
Oh, well, then it's like doubly
I know.
great.
It's a win-win.
Yeah,
It's like
usually-
Christmas morning.
They'll put it on sale for like
Yeah.
$5.99 for like a whole sub, and it's like 2 meals.
You almost want to buy 10 just so you have them like stored up, but they do not last well. Like you have to eat that ish within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
for sure.
It's
If
good
you-
stuff, though.
If you ever leave it out for like more than 20 minutes before you get to it, it's not good.
Yeah, but
it's,
if you
it's
have
kind
it
of
for
like
lunch-
McDonald's fries.
If you have it for lunch the next day, but like put it in the like toaster oven, like at work, I have a little toaster oven that we put the sandwich in.
Yeah, that might work.
And it works. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than the next day Public sub in the toaster oven. It's heavenly.
But McDonald's fries definitely has a short life.
Oh, yeah.
I think any fries have a short life.
Yeah,
you
that's
gotta
true.
eat it right then, because you gotta have it hot and warm.
They get
you know?
soggy and just
crispy,
like
yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
So what do you like better? Do you like McDonald's fries or like Arby's curly fries?
Chick-fil-A fries.
Chick-fil-A waffle
Ooh,
fry.
Waffle. That's
all day waffle fries.
All right, but
exotic.
Yeah, you gotta.
so Chick-fil-A waffle fries are the only ones I use mayonnaise with. Like I eat straight up just mayonnaise and waffle fries.
Really?
That's the only fry I do that with.
I do a
Throwback?
mix of the ketchup and
Yeah, the
mayonnaise
ketchup and
sometimes.
mayonnaise. That's
a
what I
good-
did in high school.
Yeah, I
I
like
still
that
do
with
that.
the waffle fries. At Chick-fil-A, because Chick-fil-A has a really good mayonnaise.
Yeah, they do.
It-
And I think that's one of the reasons why I eat their waffle fries with just mayonnaise.
Yep. Sometimes I just drink the mayonnaise alone. No, I've never done that, but I thought about it once.
You ever go like they ask you like, do you need any sauce or mayonnaise? You're like, yeah, can I get some mayonnaise? And they put like 2 packets, and you're like, no, like 15, please, like 2 handfuls.
That's with me and Polynesian sauce at Chick-fil-A. That
Polynesian's
sauce
pretty good
is
stuff too.
Amazing.
Chick-fil-A and the Chick-fil-A sauce is good. They have a good array of sauces at
Their
Chick-fil-A.
barbecue sauce is good too. Like you can't just. I mean, Chick-fil-A is so good, so good.
And
So-
you know when you want it the most? On a Sunday.
Every Sunday.
You're
I get
like,
a craving.
oh man, I really could go for Chick-fil-A. You know what happens on Monday? You don't want Chick-fil-A anymore.
No,
Exactly.
Sundays
The
is the
craving's
day.
gone.
It's the best.
Gosh, it's the biggest tease ever.
So this isn't a podcast about Chick-fil-A waffle fries, though we could turn
We
it
will.
into that maybe next week.
But listen, if you own a business and you just heard how great we talk about different things, so please sponsor the show and we'll talk about your stuff just as good.
Of course.
This segment was brought to you by Arby's, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Public Subs, and Firehouse.
Firehouse.
Thank you guys for being our sponsors out there. We really appreciate what you guys are doing. So we're at a new venue tonight. We're trying out a new local sports bar. You can hear it. It's right up against the Daytona 500 Speedway. So if you hear any race car noises in the background, it's because of that. We do have the Magic game on the television, which is fantastic because the Magic are winning right now against the Clippers. But the fun part about this game is both the Clippers and the Magic basically have their whole starting lineup all injured. So you're watching a bunch of scrubs. Like when Mario Hezonja is actually starting, you know that's a bad deal. When their second-round draft pick, Wes Abdullah, or whatever his name is, he started tonight, that's when you know it's bad for the Orlando Magic.
I'm pretty sure both teams flew in their G League players.
That's what this
Like
is.
they just called their G League squad and just flew them. Well, I guess it's in Orlando, so they just drove over on like a school bus.
Yeah, the Lakeland Magic. They came
Lakeland
over.
Magic.
Yeah, they're representing. And I mean, even on the Clippers side, Blake Griffin's out. They've got really, the only guy playing that is worthwhile is DeAndre Jordan on the Clippers team. So it'll be kind of a fascinating game. Magic have a big lead right now, but as everybody knows in the NBA, it's the fourth quarter that counts. First quarter doesn't mean squats.
That's the truth.
So another game going on tonight, which is a pretty interesting game. I don't know if you guys saw this, but good old Paul George.
Yeah.
He is
Oh,
back.
he's back.
Is
in
he
Indiana.
So Doc Rivers is back in Orlando,
Yep.
and Paul George is back in Indianapolis.
It's like a reunion central around here.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
So good old Victor Oladipo, who is not reunited with his Orlando Magic, has decided that he is going to play and be an actual good NBA player. He's actually averaging more points, more rebounds, more assists with the Indiana Pacers this year than Paul George did last year with the Pacers. Isn't that crazy?
It makes me mad. Like I feel like the Magic have, it's like a place to start. We groom you to make you to become a better player, and then you leave us, and then you become awesome. JJ Redick,
Dwight Howard.
Harris.
No, JJ Redick was really
he was
good while
good.
he was here. This is just what happens when
Courtney
you're on a
Lee.
good team. That's it. When you're on a really good team, things open up for you to do better. Like I think if Aaron Gordon were to go to, say, I don't know, the Golden State Warriors or the Spurs or anywhere else like that, he would just take off and be one of the top players.
Well, Gordon is
in the league.
Gordon's actually balling right now.
No, he is,
He's
but
improved a lot since last year.
But I think he would ball even more if he was on a better team.
And he's
Sure.
developing. NBA players, you don't realize this, but it's not till their like fifth or sixth season that they become that like in the prime of their career.
Yeah.
The first 3 or 4 seasons, they're just figuring it out.
Yep.
Very few players are like elite talents that early in their career. I mean, every once in a while you get that guy like LeBron James early in his career. LeBron James is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. You don't always get that. Even Michael Jordan, when you look back at his career, he had to work through a couple bad teams. Then he was in a couple playoff teams but couldn't get past the Pistons. It took him a good 8 years to get to that point where he became the airness that he was.
Well,
So,
I mean, same with LeBron James. If you're talking about how long it took him to win a championship. I mean,
It's
what,
a
it
good
took him
point.
6-7 years?
yeah, I mean, players
And-
don't come in and do it
and
immediately.
basically had to go build his own team in Miami.
Yep.
And that's the problem with the NBA contracts is you get these 4-year contracts, and then if you're a rookie, you're like, oh, I'm going to do an extension with my team, and then you do another like 3 or 4 year extension, and then at that 8th year, when you are at the prime of your career, you're like, dude, I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, now, Kobe Bryant would disagree with you because he said of LeVar Ball that, hey, you got to win. You got to be good now. There is no development in the NBA.
Now,
Part
did
of
he
me-
say
part
it's
of me kind of
LeVar
agrees with
or
that.
Lonzo?
Or sorry, DeLonzo.
Because LeVar would
LeVar's
actually
still
get out
developing.
there, and he would learn how to play the game.
Well,
and
he's still developing. He's on his like 30th year of developing from that 2-point game average a game in college.
I mean, he was a big baller, according to his brand. I don't know if you guys heard this, but the Lakers brass had to sit down LeVar and say,
I heard
hey,
about that.
you need to tone it down. Like, you didn't already know what you were getting when you drafted
Right.
Lonzo. You were
Seriously.
getting that package. And now you're going to say halfway, well, not halfway through the year, but through the year, you're going to say, yeah, you're criticizing our coach. You're a big, pompous asshole. Tone it down a little bit. I wasn't expecting you to be this bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love how the media has changed their narrative from, oh, it's LA. LA can handle this kind of guy, and the Lakers love this kind of sideshow and everything. Now it's, oh, you can't do this to Magic Johnson. You can't be this way.
I mean, pardon the banging over here. Our new guest, Linsky, who
He's
is
trying
not-
to open a straw for his apple juice.
Yeah, he's getting a straw out for his apple juice, banging it on the table. Rookie mistake.
I apologize.
That's okay. We did that. Remember the first episode we did? I was
We're like
banging on the
tapping
table.
our pins.
And I'm like trying to get loud and boisterous, and I'm banging on the table.
To prove a point.
And then, 20 episodes later, he's still doing it. Damn it, Chris.
Damn it, Chris.
America. Damn
But
you.
yeah, so LeVar Ball, I don't know. I agree with you. The Lakers knew this is what they were getting.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about him. It's all about him.
I'm feeling good about Lonzo and his development. I think Lonzo's going to be a good player. So
I agree.
I'm hoping his dad just doesn't get in his way and he stays and does his thing.
My favorite part about Lonzo is watching Twitter every time the Lakers play, because if he's doing bad, then my timeline's flooded with how god-awful Lonzo Ball is and how big of a bust he is.
Yeah.
And then the next night he'll do good, and then my timeline will be flooded with people saying, oh, Rookie of the Year, and
God.
I told you he was good. And it's like, well, where were you guys last night when he was doing bad? And then what happened to all those guys that were saying, oh, he's a bust? Where are they at tonight?
Yeah.
The NBA is a marathon, guys.
It is.
It's an up and down marathon.
It's a long marathon, long season, long marathon.
I completely agree with that. And being a marathon, we talked about Paul George going back to Indiana. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder were one of those teams this year that swung for the fences. They lost Kevin Durant a couple years ago, and they said, you know what? We got Russ. We probably only have him a couple more years, if that. We want to make sure we keep him and retain him. We got to get some talent around him. Let's swing for the fences. Let's bring in Melo. Let's go get Paul George. Let's trade whatever young assets we have and make this team a win-now team. And they're not winning now. I don't know. Is this experiment, is this project, is this group not working? And I have a theory behind that, but I want to get your guys' opinion. What do you think?
Well, if you look at the standings, the fourth seeded team or the fourth ranked team in the West, all the way down to, let's just call it the 11th seed team, the Lakers, have between 12 and 16 losses. So we kind of figured this was going to happen in the Western Conference because of how loaded the Western Conference is now.
They're beating each other up.
They're just beating each other up. It's hard to win night in, night out when you play the Rockets and then you turn around and you play the Golden State Warriors and then you got to play the Spurs. And now Minnesota has a good team that they have going on out there. So, I mean, is Oklahoma City doing bad compared to what we expected? Yeah, of course, but they're the 9th seed right now. They're only 2 games back from being in the middle of the road of the playoffs. So give it some time for them to help to get better. And I'm kind of nervous for my boy Billy Donovan because if he can't make the playoffs, I think he's gone.
With that team, yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
think he
fired.
will be gone, but I don't think it would be his fault because the theory I have on all this, and I got myself bamboozled. Sometimes I do this. I buy into the hype, the preseason hype, the, oh my gosh, we got these great stars. But I have this theory that Carmelo Anthony is really not that good of a player. He's never been that good of a player. He's a volume shooter, so he's taken points and he's taken shots away from other players on the floor, and he doesn't play great defense, and he's more of a household name and really hasn't shown anything in his career. How many championships has he had? How many championships has he gone to? How many times has he won in the first round of the playoffs? Not that many.
I think Carmelo Anthony needs to swallow his pride a little bit at this point and come off the bench. I think he'd be fantastic coming off the bench if let's say your team gets in a little bit of a funk and they get into some shooting trouble, you bring Carmelo off the bench and he can give you that offensive spark. Kind of like, you remember when you're watching wrestling and the one guy that's in the match is like beaten up and he's like crawling to get his partner and he's getting jumped and everything. Then finally he breaks away and he tags the partner in and then the guy just starts going ham on everybody, just starts clotheslining and drop kicking. That's what Carmelo Anthony could bring off the bench. It's sort of that like Ultimate Warrior type rage coming in, getting tagged in and just drop kicking. Just Carmelo could just come in and drop kick and clothesline people.
Dude, that would be perfect. I think I completely agree with you. I think Melo off the bench would be amazing. Mm-hmm. I don't think he'll swallow his pride. He's one of those guys that wants to be the center of attention. Yep. He did not come to Oklahoma City to not be the center of attention. He wanted to be there with Russ. He wanted to win. And I think he should kind of take advice from the guys over in San Antonio, like a Manu Ginobili. This guy is a surefire Hall of Famer, a champion, and he has been like a six-man type guy for a very long time in his career. And just because he's not starting doesn't mean he isn't a world-class athlete or world-class competitor. Maybe Melo needs to take a look at that and say, hey, I'd rather my team win than me be the center of attention all the time.
Well, I mean, he's coming from, Madison Square Garden, being in the limelight, being the main guy. Like, out of the three, Melo's definitely the weakest link. He's past his prime. I mean, when he was in Denver, the dude was a player. I mean, he was a good player. I mean, he got Rookie of the Year when he came out. He was on numerous All-Star teams. He was a gold medalist in the Olympics. Like, the dude can play back in the day, but now, like, I mean, the last couple of years when he was in New York, he was injured, right? He's not the same player. Yeah. The game's getting too fast for him.
And I don't blame Oklahoma City's management, like Sam Presti, their GM. Like, you got to make some moves in the Western Conference. You can't just sit down and say, okay, Golden State Warriors are going to be the team for the next 20 years that we're just going to let them roll over us. You got to say, all right, we've got some talent. We've got the best player in the NBA last year, Russell Westbrook.
Yep.
What are we going to put around him? And I mean, Paul George has been a little bit of a disappointment. He's never really quite gotten back into form after that broken leg. And that's a shame. It really is a shame.
That injury was
It was
crazy,
gruesome, though. That was a gruesome injury. And then you bring in Melo, and you're thinking, okay, we're going to have some scoring. Russ is going to be dishing the ball. But it doesn't seem like it's worked. Unlike the Houston Rockets, who they bring in Chris Paul, and the dynamic duo of Chris Paul and James Harden, unstoppable.
It's paid dividends, and that was one of the debates coming into the season was, there's only one ball. How are these two ball hogs going to share the ball? And they've made it work. They got the best record right now. They seem to be unstoppable, like you said. Now, can they carry that on into the playoffs? We all know Chris Paul has playoff woes. Is this sort of his chance to overcome that hump? Like we said, they call him the Alex Ovechkin of basketball.
He is the Alex Ovechkin. Wow, you're bringing up a hockey reference. We're not really hockey guys. I think I might bring up a little hockey topic a little later on. But
if you're done with the NBA, and we're talking about trades, I'd like to talk about the big trade that happened this week in baseball.
Ooh.
Let's bring it up. I like it.
I'm calling shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Explain.
Collusion, shenanigans, whatever you want. But
The Stanton trade?
The Stanton trade stinks. It smells to high heaven. So Derek Jeter is either one of the worst baseball executives of all time, pulling off the worst trade of all time in baseball, or there's shenanigans and collusion going on between him and the team he spent 20 years or however long he was with the New York Yankees and Major League Baseball. So Stanton gets told basically he's going to be traded, and he has a no-trade clause. So Stanton gives Derek Jeter a list of teams that he will say yes to. So what does good old Jeter do? He calls two teams that are not on the list, the San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals, and Stanton says, I gave you a list. Check it twice. You're being naughty right now because that's not what I said. I said, these are the teams that I want. So then what does Jeter do? Oh, let me call up my old team, the New York Yankees, and trades them for basically a broken-down gremlin and a loaf of moldy bread. That's pretty much how the trade went.
I'll have to agree with you on the return on that trade.
That second baseman that they got,
Starlin Castro,
he's not bad.
He's not a bad player, but he is no
He's no
MVP.
comparison.
Yeah, he's not
I
an
agree.
MVP style or a type of player. And really what the problem here is why they're doing all this. The Marlins are just the worst run team in the MLB, and they have been for a very long time. They bring in guys, they get good values on them, they become all-stars, and then they trade them away for just pennies on the dollar because they're all about saving money because they can't fill a stadium or their field is billions of dollars. They made it all fancy and all these colors, and it's supposed to be the greatest place to go play, and they still can't get fans to go fill it in. And now Jeter comes in, and it does look suspicious that Stanton goes to the Yankees, but he is now saying, all right, we're going to have to totally strip this down to the nuts and bolts and start over. So they're getting rid of everybody. It's not just Stanton that left. They just did another trade. Their outfielder, Marcell Ozuna, he got traded to the Cardinals. And so now you've got two all-stars that you're trading away on a team that wasn't very good to begin with. I know a lot of people in Miami are pretty hurt by what's going on down there. They feel betrayed by the team. So they're never going to get that fan base to build up because nobody wants to believe in them because they know that as soon as the team gets good, they're just going to trade away all their talent. So not even the fact that Stanton goes to the Yankees, it's just the fact that the Marlins are just a dumpster fire of an organization, getting rid of everybody. All their great players are going away, and now the Yankees become the Yankees again, and they are now back to, we are the dominant force. We're going to hit home runs out of here like crazy, and having Aaron Judge and Stanton back-to-back in your lineup.
That's scary.
It's sick. And you have Gary Sanchez. Like, the bats in this lineup are going to be sick.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
unbelievable.
I don't know if you saw the home run derby this year, but
I did. That's actually one of my guilty pleasures. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it for the first time in a long time this year, and Judge and Stanton went back and forth, man, and Stanton is a beast. I mean, I understand that Miami got rid of him, but his contract is huge. And like you're saying, it seems like Miami is trying to reevaluate what they're doing down there. So they're trying to just maybe throw out big assets and try to start fresh. So, I mean, granted, the Yankees got stronger, which sucks for a lot of these other, MLB teams, but it's crazy. So I never thought it that way, Chris. I think you definitely put a different perspective on it. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from, though.
The good news is the Yankees still don't have great pitching. That's going to be their weak link
and
going
this
through.
is why it stinks, because the Yankees are loaded with talent. And I get there was some sort of desperation, but I feel like if he listed 3 or 4 teams, you could have basically put him up for auction with those 3 or 4 teams.
Yep.
You should have gone to those 3 or 4 teams and said, hey, we're trading Stanton, and you guys are the 3 or 4 finalists that Stanton says he'll agree to go to.
Yep.
What do you have for me? But instead, he goes to 2 teams that he knows that Stanton's going to say no to. So it's basically, why are you wasting your time calling these teams? And then he goes straight to the Yankees after he gets that. And I've always said, rule number 1 of a scam is you got to make it not look like a scam. So he does that by saying, well, I called these 2 teams and Stanton said no. But then when it comes out, Stanton set the story straight and he said, no, I gave him a list of teams that I would say yes to. And San Francisco and St. Louis weren't on that list. So he basically sold Jeter out. And obviously Major League Baseball loves it because it gets one of their best top 3 players maybe top 2. A lot of people still like Trout, between him and Trout, I guess. But it gets him out of, like you said, this poorly run team, small market where nobody shows up and nobody pays attention to, and it puts them in the wealthiest franchise that they have. So, like I said, it's collusion to the extreme in my mind between Jeter, the Yankees, and Major League Baseball.
So wrong. That's so wrong. Because you're not really giving these other markets a chance.
The problem, though, just to argue with what you're saying, is that the parity in baseball has been better than it's been in basketball. It's been better than it's been in football. In football, you've got the Patriots. In the NBA, you've got the Cavs and the Warriors. But in Major League Baseball, every year you got a surprise team. The Astros just won the World Series. You had the Royals win a couple years back. I mean, these are teams that are small market teams, and they're beating the Red Sox. They're beating the Yankees. Now, the Yankees and the Red Sox are always in the conversation.
Yep.
And you're going to have that, but really the powerhouse over the last 10 years has been the San Francisco Giants, who won 3 World Series.
Yeah, between them and St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis.
Yep.
But, I mean, San Francisco isn't a huge market as far as sports go. They're not a small market.
No, I mean,
they've had their glory
But
days.
they're
what
not-
are they? They're like a top 10 city, though,
Yeah,
aren't
but
they?
they're not like,
baseball, yeah.
when you look at it, you got New York, Boston,
Right. Well, Boston's smaller than
Chicago,
San Francisco.
Philadelphia, but sports towns.
Maybe. I mean, are we talking population-wise? Because Boston's really not a big city population-wise compared to other towns. I mean, you'll be surprised. It's
Boston's a pretty decent-sized city, man.
It is a
No,
big
no,
city.
Look it up.
But-
I guarantee you, like Houston's way bigger than Boston.
Well,
I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
What
that's
about as
fine.
far as diehard fans go?
Well, maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's the
diehard
big
fans
difference.
all day. Boston's.
Well, because
That's hard not to
be.
Boston kind of claims like the whole Northeast too.
Well, that's true, but they have a lot of good franchises. They have the Celtics. They have
Right, and Chicago's
the
a much
Bruins,
bigger town.
Did you mention the Patriots?
The Patriots. I was getting there.
I mean, I know you dislike Tom Brady tremendously.
So I'm from Boston.
Oh,
So-
now the truth comes out.
Well, I'm a Bucks fan though, so like I'm loyal.
That's embarrassing.
Let me tell you how I can be. Like, it's easy to be a Celtics fan. It's easy to be a Patriots fan because they're winning. But I'm not. I'm a Magic fan and I'm a Bucks fan.
That's a rough
So,
life.
That's a rough life, but I'm loyal to the cause.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's easy to jump on it. I can claim I'm actually I lived there for 10 years. I'm from Boston. I was born there. It's easy to be like, okay, yeah, I'm a fan because I'm from there. Compared to these other people that just claim it because they're winning.
Right.
It's jacked up.
Bandwagon jumpers.
Bandwagon jumpers.
We had a segment about that a couple weeks ago, but we'll get into that on another show. You know, we kind of got off the tracks a little bit. We're going a little baseball talk. It's really baseball goes 9.5 months out of the year, and then this is the one time we shouldn't be talking about them, and they're bringing it back up. Like,
Well, I mean, it was a
Yeah.
good reason. I mean, they basically pulled the NBA on us. They had a huge trade.
Yep.
Now they need like 15 more of them like the NBA had, and they'll be good to go.
now you said you're a Bucks fan. Now, does that mean you are also a Lightning fan?
Tampa Bay Lightning. So
I've heard of them.
The All-Star game is going to be there this year, which is exciting.
That is exciting.
And they're actually playing some good hockey right now as well.
Some really good hockey.
Yeah, which
So-
is cool.
Last night they played the St. Louis Blues. And so St. Louis Blues has the second best record in the NHL. So you're thinking, okay, you got the best record in the NHL, Tampa Bay Lightning, going up against the St. Louis Blues, that it'll be a good hockey match, right? Lightning blow them out 3-0, man.
Yep.
And they are playing just unbelievably fun. And I know none of us are really hockey guys, right? I'm not. I can totally say I'm not a hockey guy. I can get into it in the playoffs. I barely catch regular season games. It's just I'm not a hockey guy. But I kind of want to sit down and just start watching the Lightning in the regular season. I've seen some of the highlights. I'm looking to see what they're doing. Stamkos right now, to me, is like an MVP type guy. Kucherov is another amazing player. The Lightning are stacked.
Yep.
I wish Ben Bishop would have never left. I liked him, too, when
Yeah,
he was
that was a
the
huge
goalie.
trade,
Dude.
yeah.
That was a mess. But, that's where life is in hockey. And right 2 hours away from us, the Tampa Bay Lightning are right now the premier team in the NHL. So
Which is
I'm ready.
wild.
I want to
Florida team.
jump on it, man. I grew up in Tampa.
Okay.
I went to high school over there. I came to Orlando to go to college. The great UCF Knights. I'm one of those guys.
Yes.
But I grew up on the Bucks. I grew up on the Lightning. I grew up on the Rays, and they still hold a place in my heart. Now, I like Orlando sports. I'm from the DC area originally, so I'm a big Redskins fan, but the Lightning, man, that's my local team. That's the team I want to go for. So it's exciting to see how well they're doing this year, and I just might have to become a hockey guy.
There you go.
Well,
I'm going to grow up my hair in the back, do one of those hockey hairdos, and with my beard, women will be flocking on me like crazy.
You should dye it blue for the Lightning.
I should. I actually was thinking about getting lightning bolts shaved in the
Shaved
side
in?
of my head,
Yeah.
like on my sideburns.
That'd be hot.
See, hockey is one sport where you have to go to the game to really see the passion behind the teams. I went to a game. I think I went to a Boston Bruins game back in Boston, and it's awesome. Like, hockey games are fun.
Yeah.
It's high energy, fast paced game. The fights are cool. It's a good time, and I think definitely I feel like in Orlando we don't really get a lot of exposure to hockey.
Have you ever heard of the Solar Bears?
I've been to a couple Solar Bear games this year.
I'm going next week.
And they're not
Orlando
doing
Solar
they're
Bears.
not doing too well this year.
I don't care. I'm going. It's going to be
fun.
fun.
It's fun, though. It's fun.
There's not a big crowd.
Nope.
And the intermission experience that
Yep.
you get. This coming up next week, my daughter and her chorus is singing.
Nice.
So I'm going to the game and I'm going to watch that.
Nice.
We went to the game last year to do it. They're just a ton of fun.
They really are.
They go hard. They're checking right there. You're right in front of the glass.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are just getting their teeth knocked in
Yep.
right in front of you. It's one of the best live experiences you can do in any professional sports atmosphere.
Well, I went to a Solar Bear game a couple weeks ago, and the fans, it's like going to a WWE match. They do things like they do the whole thing. I don't know what that is.
The
where-
yes, yes,
the
yes.
Wave?
yes. Yeah, they do. They do different things that only true fans would know. So when you're watching it, going to a game for the first time, you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. And everyone's doing it. You have grandmas doing it. You have little kids doing it. You have, whoever's doing it, and they're having a blast.
It's kind of like a college football game, though. Every college sports team has their own gimmicks where they're
Yep.
doing waves and tomahawks and first down and all that stuff. And Solar Bears are the same way. And you can get such an amazing rush and such an adrenaline pump just by going. You want to be a fan just because it's so much fun.
You're right.
Being a fan, and that's what sports is about. That's why I love watching these things and going to these live events.
Yep.
I don't want it to be boring. I want to just get into it, get involved, and just have a great time.
I agree.
So let's get off of a minor league hockey team that only people from Orlando know about. Let's go back to the NHL team. You guys mentioned that you were kind of surprised. It's not really surprising. Maybe it's a little surprising that the Lightning are number one in the NHL right now, but it shouldn't be surprising that they're good. 2 years ago, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. They challenged the Penguins.
Yep.
I don't remember who went 6 games or 7 games, but they definitely didn't just lay down for the Penguins, and they did it mostly without Steven Stamkos. And then last year, Steven Stamkos got injured again, and so they had a bunch of injuries. So, they did trade away Bishop, but maybe, again, I don't follow it enough to know if the trade worked out or not, but it seems like They've organized a really good team this year. Stamkos has stayed healthy, and the Lightning are doing good. So that's about our extent of our hockey knowledge, though, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm done. You've extended me beyond hockey in a way that I can never be extended again.
So Ski brought up the Bucks, and that he's a Bucks fan. We've known this about you. Now, you were like Anthony with Florida State. He came in high, thinking playoffs, undefeated, championship season. You were kind of the same way, and now this week, the Bucks were officially eliminated. How are you feeling, buddy?
You know, words can't describe how I feel. Honestly, like the expectation.
Do you need a tissue?
I'm almost there.
Can we have a brief moment of silence for the
Buccaneers
death of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
It's disappointing because the talent is there. It's just the execution is not happening, which is unfortunate because we did have a lot of injuries on defense. We had a couple injuries on offense, and we had a suspension with Doug Martin early in the year. Like there were things that happened to us, but at the end of the day, there's still not enough excuses. It's not. They have to produce, right? I mean, I don't know if there's a Hard Knocks curse. If there is,
there definitely is.
You know, that killed us.
Well, I think they just picked bad teams to begin with, and they knew. They knew what I knew. Because I remember I told you at the beginning of the season that you guys are the new San Diego Chargers. A very talented team that everybody gets on the bandwagon at the beginning of the season and predicts to do well and to do a deep playoff run. But then for whatever reason, like you said, can't even put your finger on it. They just either barely make it into the playoffs or just don't make the cut.
Not even close, man. It's disappointing. But there's always next year, right? I've been saying that the last 5 years. There's always next year.
So a lot of the hype was based off of potential. So you have this team that when you have Jameis Winston, who you draft number 1 overall, comes out, he has that national championship pedigree, and you expect him to come in and perform the same way he did in college. And you knew it wasn't going to happen immediately, but you saw that potential. After the second year, you saw that potential, but now you're in year 3, and this is the year that you should really start seeing some progress. And one, his maturity level has not increased at all. That has absolutely gone to shit, and it was in the shitter anyway. But second, you expect to see him on the field make some of these throws, and his interceptions, his turnovers, way too high. Honestly, the team looked better with Fitzmagic. He's a Russian. He's a hockey player. Ryan Fitzmagic.
No, you're right. Yeah. I mean, Fitz went in there and did his thing, and he got us back into games. But, I mean, it's crazy. I don't know.
Peyton Barber looks better than Doug Martin.
Yeah,
I mean, Doug Martin, he's like an every other year type of back. Like, he looks like crap one year, and then the next year he's like, oh, I'm a superstar. Oh, I want to play like crap. Oh, I'm a superstar. You know, you can't have that. You need consistency on your team.
Yeah, right.
And I think one of the problems is that you had a really great coach in Lovie Smith, and you kind of dicked him over so that you could bring the offensive coordinator and say, all right, you're going to run this team because the offense is looking so great. And I don't think Dirk Cutter's the answer. Honestly, I don't think they're going to cut him after the end of this year, and I'd like to get your opinion on that as a Bucks fan, but I don't know that this experiment's going to work. I don't think he's the right coach.
I don't know who the right coach is. There's a lot of talk about John Gruden coming back, and I don't like.
That would be atrociously awful.
I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
Come on, those are groomers that happen every year. So you can't buy into that.
No,
as a dog returns to his vomit, that would be what the Buccaneers would be doing.
A hot, wet bag of vomit.
Well, going back to Orlando Magic, Brian Hill came back. Like he was a
mistake.
Huge mistake. So I don't like that at all. I think you have to find someone else that can produce.
Wait a second. What about Art Shell with the Raiders? No? Nothing? No, nothing? Blank stares. Crickets.
Here's the problem is...
Cricket.
And this is what kind of sucks as a sports fan. You see this with a lot of teams like the New York Knicks, just other teams. Now it's the Buccaneers. Like, your ownership group is just awful. And they just can't seem to get it right with this coaching thing. They chased off a Hall of Fame coach in Tony Dungy 20 years ago, or whatever it was, 18 years ago. And people said, oh, but it was a good move because it paid off because they won a Super Bowl. But Tony Dungy went on to have a fantastically consistent career. I think he's won the most games on average per season than any other coach in the history of the NFL, including Bill Belichick. Then you let Gruden just run the program into the ground.
So then I kind of disagree with that, but we'll go ahead.
I mean, he did. Like, the Buccaneers were a Super Bowl like amazing team, and then it was just every year just digressed. Maybe what 2 or 3 times afterwards you might have like backed your way into a South Division championship because
Yeah,
the
but being
South
a
was
playoff
so
team is still good in the NFL.
no because the South was terrible. Like the the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints were all garbage from like 2002. I mean the
not the
Panthers.
Saints.
Yeah, the Saints didn't get Drew Brees until like 2008, 2009.
Yes. The Saints kind of.
I mean, the Panthers were kind of up and down during that time too. They were kind of like traded off between the Panthers and the Buccaneers, but the Falcons and the Saints were nobody. I mean, they had Derek Brooks, or what was it? Not Derek Brooks, but just what's his name? The guy that wore number 2 for Aaron Brooks. Who am I thinking
The
of?
quarterback.
The quarterback.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
It was Brooks. Aaron Brooks, I
Aaron
believe.
Brooks.
Yeah.
Derek Brooks was the Buccaneer
linebacker.
player. Yeah. But Aaron Brooks, I mean, but he was nothing special.
Yeah.
And then
But he was throwing to Joe Horn.
once the Panthers and the Falcons kind of solidified themselves as a better team, Gruden just got worse and worse each year until he was finally fired.
Yeah.
And then you went and you hired Greg Schiano
Oh gosh.
from the Rutgers, and then you guys, what was it, Raheem Morris, who's like a defensive back coach, and it's like, hey, I know you have no coordinating or any sort of like leading
coaching,
experience,
yeah.
but you did well with the DB, so we'll make you a head coach.
Yeah.
And then was it Lovey after him? No. Who did you guys have in between him and Lovey?
I thought it
Was
was
it Lovey?
Raheem, then Schiano, and then Lovey,
then
and now
Lovey.
Cutter.
Yeah, you're right. It was
Yeah.
Raheem and then Schiano and then Lovey and then okay.
Yeah. Cutter.
And I thought, hey, they're on the right track with Lovey Smith, but they just didn't have the patience for him. And then I don't know if Cutter's agent got on the line with the ownership and said, hey, man, I got like all 30 teams in the NFL calling me, trying to bang on my door. And literally, like, everybody in the media is like, what are the Bucs doing? Like,
Well, the biggest thing about that is, Cutter's relationship with Jameis Winston was supposed to be like really close, but as of recent, Cutter's relationship with Jameis, it seems like it's on the rocks. So I think the continuity is what they wanted. The continuity is what they wanted. They wanted Jameis to have someone they can trust, and Cutter was his guy. And then I guess
It's sometimes when you swipe right, things just don't
Things
pan
just
out
don't
the way you
pan out,
think,
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So it's one of those things where supposedly, as of recently, at the end of the last game, they asked Jameis, hey, how's your relationship with Cutter? He says that everything is good, but everyone in the background is saying that, there's some tension there. There's some, animosity there, whatever it may be. So I don't know what's going to happen. Changes need to happen. I don't know if it's the GM you change. I don't know what you do, but something needs to happen because fans are getting tired of it. It's hard because there's a lot of talent. Like we picked up, Deshaun Jackson, who helps Mike Evans out, right? Because I mean, you had Vincent Jackson before, who is slow and he's good, but he's just slow. And I think Deshaun Jackson definitely opens up the game for him.
No, I
So,
thought Deshaun Jackson was going to be a great ad for
I
the
thought it
Bucs.
was too.
He had a great season last
Yeah.
year with the Redskins. He's always been a playmaker. He's had a few injuries over his career, but he is getting a little bit older, and he's just one of those guys that'll come in. He'll have a couple games where he gets like 20 yards and 2 catches, but then he'll also have that one game where he gets 5 catches for 130 yards, and he's just a good complement. And you thought Mike Evans would be the guy. Mike Evans has had a really rough year.
Yeah, it's been
and
rough.
he's had a problem his whole career with drops. And I think that's a big problem as a big-time wide receiver. You have to be sure-handed. When I think of a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, one of the reasons why that guy has had the longevity that he's had is because his hands are unbelievably reliable. So
You're right.
he's one of those guys that, if you drop 2 or 3 passes, that could be the difference of having 2 or 3 catches in a game or having 7 or 8 catches in
You're
a
right.
game. And that's a big difference for your team, and especially on a third down. And it's just a bad look for the Bucs. So we've talked a lot about the Bucs.
well, I was gonna say one more thing about the Bucs, and then we'll get off it because we've spent a
Man.
lot. We've camped out in Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
Seems like we have.
Bay.
The good news for the Buccaneers when they go to do their coaching search again is Jimbo Fisher's off the market, so you won't be tempted to make that mistake and hire him. So
Yeah.
that's good news for you.
Thank you.
Do you think Jay Gruden will be on the market?
Maybe.
You think so?
Damn Redskins, man. Disappointing year this year. We're talking about your team
Yeah.
being disappointing.
You were
And-
13, 15-1. No, that was
Yeah.
a joke.
My
I think
15-1.
we're really like 14-4.
I think
So
Or
here's
sorry,
the,
12-4.
it's the run game. There's no run game.
there's no run game. It's not just that. And this is something debates that rage on Twitter because I follow like 8,000 Redskins fans, and that is what playmakers do they have on the team? Like the two playmakers this year that have been effective were both Chris Thompson and Jordan Reed, both hurt. Last year you had Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon, both hurt or both gone. The team just fell apart. So, in my opinion, it's time to see some changes. I hope it's not Kirk Cousins, though, because starting fresh with a new quarterback is not the way to go. So, disappointed with where my Redskins were. Now, with your Bucks, you have an excuse because your division is absolutely
Awesome.
ruthless.
The best
It's
division in the league.
ruthless.
The best
You got the
division.
Saints, who, I mean, those guys, they kind of look unstoppable.
Yep.
You got the Falcons, always playing tough.
Yep.
You got the Panthers, Chris America, your Panthers.
Yep.
We're right up there, man. We could easily be a bye week team in the playoffs.
Jonathan Stewart last week had 3 touchdowns, man.
That guy.
He was on my bench of fantasy, dude. I started
For
Christian
good
McCaffrey.
reason, too.
Well, I started Christian over him.
Yeah.
And I lost. So
All right, this has been brought to you by Fantasy Hour, also known as Snooze Fest.
And
my
listen,
bad.
Playoff
this
weeks,
is
man,
why
I
it'd be a
get it.
mistake if the Redskins get rid of Kirk Cousins, because in a lot of statistical categories, he's in the top 5. And like you mentioned, there are no more superstars on that team. You used to say, oh, he's got Terrell Pryor,
Yeah.
or not Terrell Pryor, but
Santana
Deshaun
Moss.
Jackson, Santana Moss. Who's the other wide receiver that you guys had?
Pierre Garçon.
Pierre Garçon.
Clinton Portis.
Jordan Reed, that
Jordan
guy
Reed?
needs to stay healthy.
Dude, Jordan Reed's a
he
beast of a
can
tight end.
never stay on
Gator
the field.
Gator legend Jordan Reed.
Gosh.
Man,
be-
I lose sleep at night because
Would
of
be
that guy.
probably a top 3 tight end without a shadow of a doubt if that guy could stay healthy. But
right.
Oh, absolutely.
He'd be in the conversation with Gronk.
And Travis Kelce. 'Cause
Yeah,
those
he
two
would
guys
be
are-
up there with those
Absolutely.
guys.
Absolutely.
And Zach Ertz.
Zach
and
Ertz,
Pretty good tight
Now-
ends in the league if they can stay healthy.
Yeah.
you guys have talked about teams that have done surprisingly bad. But there's one team that Vegas had winning 5 games, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
Have a chance, or Jaguars. Have a chance. Jaguar. Have a chance to be, just like the Panthers, they have a chance to be a bye week team. Now, probably not likely, but they'll definitely have a chance to win their division and be a tough out in the playoffs with that defense.
That defense is amazing.
Well, you got to give it to UCF legend Blake Bortles, because he hasn't screwed it up bad enough yet for them to start losing.
in the beginning
because
of the
that
year.
defense, yeah, he did. He was trying to, but he's played good the last
He
couple
has.
games.
Yes, he's confident.
Which, yeah, and he knows that his defense is there for him.
Yep.
They're leading the league in sacks.
Yep.
They got Calais Campbell in the offseason, who came from the Arizona Cardinals, kind of an underrated guy. He comes in and he's just tearing it up.
Yep.
And they've got so many other pieces. Last year they had picked up in the offseason Malik Jackson. They had been retooling each year, getting really good picks, getting these high draft picks like guys like Dante Fowler,
Yep.
getting these guys every year. And you're thinking, man, this team never pulled it together. You bring in a guy like Gus Bradley, who comes from the Seattle background. You're thinking, okay, this is a defensive-minded coach. We give you all these defensive-minded pieces, that this team should be a really great defensive team, and it just never was. And part of it was the offense, part of it was the defense, but now everything is just clicking 100%.
Yeah.
Fournette has been a good addition.
Huge addition.
I mean, that helps out the running or the quarterback so much, because TJ Yeldon, who ended up starting a lot of last year, he's that third down complementary receiving running back. He's not a between the tackles guy. Ivory was hurt a lot last year. They needed Leonard Fournette to come in and do what he did. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, I mean, I've been skeptical all year because they've disappointed me year after year after year.
Yeah.
Last year, a lot of people had them like, oh, they're going to the playoffs, and they just totally tanked.
Yeah.
This is the team that should have been there last year and probably the year before, but they're here now. So hats off to you guys over there in Jacksonville. And I think Tom Coughlin's the reason why that thing pulled it together.
Big time.
And Doug Marone. I can't give the
Yeah.
coach
Yeah.
credit.
But I
I've gotta
mean,
give him credit.
Coughlin's the one that hired Marone, isn't he?
Yeah,
And he's the
Coughlin's
one that changed the whole thing. And listen, the Giants were stupid for letting him go, because we've seen what an S show that place has been since he's left.
Who else was stupid for letting him go? The Jaguars.
The Jaguars, yeah.
They should have never
That's
let him
true.
go when he was the
That's
coach
true.
years ago.
That's true.
Years ago. Let him
true.
with Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
Mark Brunell.
Washington Redskin legend,
Yeah,
Mark Brunell.
Mark Brunell. But, I mean, yeah, like we said, the beginning of the season, there was a lot of people that were saying, oh, Chad Henney's going to start. Blake Bortles is awful. He's been a bust. And I think rightfully so. I mean, when you're the third overall pick, you get judged as the third overall pick. But let's say Blake Bortles was a third-round draft pick. We would view him completely differently right now. We would say, all right, he's a solid player. He's not great. He's not amazing. But for a third-round pick, he's a good value. But because he's the third overall pick, we kind of hold him to that standard, and we're waiting for him to just take off. But hey, right now he's doing what he's supposed to do, and that's manage the game and let the defense win it for him.
Do you think that doesn't fade over time, though?
I don't think it does.
You don't think so? You think that expectation's still there? Like a guy like Alex Smith, are we in San Francisco? You didn't think that's what kind of hurt him is because he had that, I was the number one pick. I should have had that stigma. And he was never a great quarterback, but he was always that game manager type guy.
I think it does fade over time because I think if you ask an NFL fan today who might not have been around for 2005, they probably don't even know he's the number one overall pick.
Right. He doesn't have that same.
They couldn't even tell you.
Him.
They couldn't even tell you what college he went to.
Yeah.
For most new NFL fans, like those who were 5 years old back in 2005, who are now what, 15?
Yeah. Good math.
17, 18?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. They would have no idea.
No, I completely agree with that. And I think that, I guess my question on that was the fact that Blake Bortles, year one, you're the number 3 pick overall. Okay, we got high expectations. So year 2, year 3, we have high expectations. But you get into year 4, and you're just the quarterback. We don't care if you were drafted 1 or 1,000. We just want performance at that point. So I think he's at that point in his career now where his draft status is null and void, and it's just we want a guy that performs on the field. So if we need to bench you to put Henny in, we will.
Yeah.
Because we want performance. We don't care. So
Well, in Blake Bortles' defense, though, like he took Blaine Gabbert's spot, right? And Blaine Gabbert is not a guy that you wanna learn under. I mean, he got I think in the deal situation they wanted to rest him for the first year, let him learn the system and get it. He got thrown in kind of mid-season.
But Gabbert was also a top 10 draft pick in the NFL.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
I don't know why.
He wasn't a top 10 quarterback though.
He should. You know what though? The drafting system. That's a whole different story.
We'll talk about that around NFL draft time about how much BS the draft is.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like we should bring it up just for real quick. Okay. A guy like Baker Mayfield wins the Heisman.
Yeah.
You would think that he would be like at least the top second quarterback, maybe a first quarterback taken. No, you're having this argument about Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, and Josh Allen.
That doesn't make any
and then
sense.
Baker Mayfield, they're like, well, he might be a late first rounder.
He's
What?
really short.
Oh, okay.
How tall is he? Like 6'2"?
I mean, look, Deshaun Watson was the third quarterback taken, right?
And that's what that
Before he got
proves
hurt?
the point, though. Like, why would you take Deshaun Watson, the third quarterback, when he was by far the best talent in college football
Doesn't
the
make
year
any sense.
before?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, you got Dak Prescott taken in the 4th round. You got
Yeah.
Tom Brady taken in the 7th or 6th round.
You know what a great example? I think the 2 best examples are Drew Brees and Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Because they weren't that prototypical, hey, I have to be a 6'4"
Yeah.
quarterback.
I got to play for USC.
Yeah, I got to play for USC.
USC West.
I mean, Russell Wilson's, he's playing his 5th year in the college football. He's transferring schools. He just wants to play.
Yep.
He doesn't care. Drew Brees, same thing. He's playing in Purdue.
Purdue.
He's not one
The
of those
powerhouse
top
Purdue.
guys, and he's just going and doing his thing. So anyway, the whole draft thing just boggles my mind. And sometimes these guys bust, and you think to yourself, why were they even in that conversation to begin with? Blaine Gabbert. And so. I'm sorry, I just took us off the rails on
Yeah,
that.
that's okay.
I got passionate about
That's
it,
all right.
and I just had to bring that up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was still suspect on Jacksonville's, winning until this past week they beat Seattle. 3 turnovers against Seattle, and they
That was a
beat
good
Seattle.
game too.
They beat Seattle, and
Beat 'em.
Beat them in home, and it was electric. A buddy of mine from work is a Seattle fan, went to the game. He hated it. I think that whole situation where that player tried to go into the
Michael
stand,
Bennett.
he was right there when that
Oh
happened.
no, you're talking about a
The
different
other
thing.
one, yeah, the
Yeah.
D lineman or whoever it was.
I thought you were talking about at the end when he was like, they were going to run the game out, and then Michael Bennett came and tried to knock the guy's knees out during when he was kneeling.
The victory huddle, yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is one where the guy tried to climb into the stands Did you see that, guys?
Yeah, I did. I saw some clips on Twitter.
Yeah, dude.
Twitter doesn't hide anything.
No.
It gives you
Twitter's not hiding-
everything.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
Full frontal 100% of the
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
I mean, don't get any visuals. I see you staring over here at me.
and I think
God.
that puts the Seahawks in danger of missing the playoffs.
It does. I mean, the NFC is very good right in the middle there.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So they've got, right now you've got the Green Bay Packers,
Yep.
who now have Aaron Rodgers at their disposal,
Yep.
maybe, that are right there in the mix. You've got a couple really great teams. You got the Falcons that are still fighting, the Panthers. You've got all these teams. It's a top-heavy, and Eagles. I mean, right there leading the way. LA Rams. I mean, you can list probably 7 or 8 teams that are playoff-deserving teams in the NFC.
In the NFC,
Yeah,
absolutely. You're right.
And so you're sitting there thinking, who's going to get left out? Vikings. I mean, even the Lions are in the mix still. I mean, you can go on and on and on with these teams, and you're thinking, who is going to be the guy that's going to be, or who's going to be that team that's going to be left out? And I don't know, what do you guys think as far as teams getting left out? I'll start with the Packers. So they're sitting there, I believe they're 7-6.
Yeah.
I haven't pulled the standings right up in front of me yet. I got to get my fax machine out.
Yeah, the Packers are actually 7-6. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're 7-6. And so they've been doing that with Todd Hundley.
Brett Hundley.
Or I'm sorry, I'm thinking baseball. Sorry, going back to baseball. Brett Hundley. But now they might bring Aaron Rodgers back. Good move, bad move. Do they need to suit him up? Are they moving him too fast? What do you think?
Honestly, Brett Hundley's playing good football. He's the first 2 games he was atrocious, like just bad. Like this past week, I think he threw like 3 touchdowns. Week prior was like 2 touchdowns. Right now, he's actually playing good football. So I think you rest Rodgers until you absolutely need him. Because I mean,
But is it too late? Because right now there's zero room for error because the NFC is so good. Zero room.
Yeah, I think you have. I don't know. I think Brett Hundley is playing good football. I really do think he's playing good football, and I don't know if you bring in Rodgers yet because, gosh, going back to the Magic when we made the playoffs and Jameer Nelson came back and they sat Ray for Austin, like you can't do it. Like I think you have to stick with Brent.
All right, so if you stick with Hundley, which I don't think is a bad move, I'm throwing this out there because I finally got a chance to pull it up.
I think it's a terrible move.
You think it's a terrible move?
Well, it's easy to say that he's playing good football when you're playing against the Browns and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a totally different story when you look at their next 3 games, which is at Carolina, the Minnesota Vikings, and at Detroit Lions. Those are 3 playoff teams right there.
You're right.
So I don't trust Brett Hundley to get me into the playoffs when I have to go through 3 playoff teams. Or 3 teams that right now are currently in the hunt for the playoffs.
And honestly, looking at the playoff picture, not the teams in the playoffs. You got 6 teams that are in the playoff picture. The teams that are outside of the playoffs right now are Seattle at 8-5, Detroit at 7-6, Green Bay at 7-6, Dallas at 7-6. So you have 4 teams that are playoff-worthy teams that are sitting there with you. So you're playing Detroit as a Green Bay Packer in your own division. So you have to make sure that Rodgers is ready for that. And
The biggest problem for the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks is the Falcons. The Falcons are 8-5 or 7-5, whatever they are,
8-5.
and they have the tiebreaker against Seattle and against Green Bay.
yeah, they're in the playoffs right now.
Right now,
if
they're-
the season
so
ended today.
It would be 3 teams from the NFC South.
Yep.
So they can't lose anymore. You can't just trust Brent Hundley to go 3-0 because they can't. If they lose that 7th game, then they need the Falcons to lose the next 3 games. They need Seattle. Did they beat Seattle early in the year? I'm not sure, but they would need the Panthers. They'd need to beat the Panthers first of all. But if let's say they lose to the Panthers, then they'd need the Panthers to drop. That would be it for them against the Panthers because the Panthers would have only 2 more games to play, and they would if they lost those 2, they'd only have 6 losses compared to the Packers 7. So you got to play Rodgers if you want to make it to the playoffs. You can't take any risks against the Panthers or the Lions, who you're competing against for a wild card spot.
Okay, no, I like it. I think
No,
you
that's
do.
fair.
You got to go all in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Rock out with your Brock out or Rodgers out, whatever you want to pull out, and you got to go full tilt. So just kind of throwing a little devil's advocate out there. So you've got LA Rams, New Orleans Saints, and Carolina Panthers all at 9-4. And all these other teams are either at 8-5 or 7-6. So it's really a tight race. Do you think any of these 9-4 teams end up losing maybe 2-3 games to finish out the year and just crap in the bed and miss out on the playoffs?
The Panthers definitely have a chance to do that because they play Green Bay, Tampa, and the Falcons. They could easily lose
Two out of the three.
Two out of the three. Aaron Rodgers. And then, hell, I hate playing teams like Tampa Bay at the end of the year where they have nothing to lose and they just want to spoil somebody's party.
Yeah, you get some of these third-string guys that get to finally get a start because some other guys are hurt, and they come out and they just full-out ball.
Or you got a guy like Derek Cutter who's coaching for his job.
That's true.
Yeah, good point.
That's true.
Good point. So at the top of the NFC, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, who by far were the best team in the NFC for a very long time this year. But there is a little bit of an elephant in the room when you're talking about the Eagles right now.
You're right.
All the Eagles fans that I know are very high on Nick Foles because Carson Wentz has gone out with a season-ending injury. But Nick Foles, is he the answer? Is he the guy that can carry that team to the playoffs?
Honestly, I think Nick Foles is probably one of the better backup quarterbacks you can have in the league. I think he knows the system. He's been there for a long time, and he's got a point to prove. And I honestly, I don't think they're going to lose that big of a beat. I think they're going to have to establish the run game a little bit more. But honestly, I think Philly still has a chance to do well. I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they're going to win a couple playoff games. They really can.
All right, I got to agree with you on that because defense is there.
Yep.
Philly's got a great defense and a running game.
Yep.
So when you got Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount on your team,
Yep.
those two guys, they are great
Yep.
complementary running backs. And so Foles doesn't have to do a lot.
Yep.
And then when he does throw the ball, he's got the safety valve, Zach Ertz, who he went out with an injury last week. I don't know if he's
coming back.
Is he
soon.
coming back?
Yeah.
So hopefully he gets his act together,
But you
gets
still have Alshon
recovered.
Jeffrey
And Alshon Jeffrey.
And Torrey Smith had a big game last week.
They've got pieces.
They got a lot of pieces. You
So
know?
I'm with you. I don't think they're going to miss a beat, but I do think that this seriously hurts their Super Bowl chances.
Yes, you're right.
Because the NFC is such a deep division
Yep.
and deep conference, you're going to find that one of these other teams, whether it's an LA Rams, whether it's Minnesota Vikings or a New Orleans Saints, one of these teams is just going to catch fire and just tear through. And it'll be interesting, or not just interesting, I think it'll be fun to watch to see these games. I think the playoffs in the NFC this year are going to be phenomenal.
Yep. Because the AFC is so weak this year.
AFC is pretty weak.
I mean, like the 4th seed Kansas City, who started off great, is 7-6.
Yeah.
You know?
So the one team, and you mentioned pulling a San Diego Chargers. Well, guess what? We're not in San Diego anymore, my friends. We're in LA. And we like to ball. We're Hollywood all the way. So my LA Chargers, who beat my Washington Redskins, I jumped on this bandwagon about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I said, hey, this is one of those sleeper teams that's going to sneak into the playoffs, and they're going to get hot. Nice. And you know what? I really like them because they actually made me sound like I knew what I was talking about. Because usually when I do these bold predictions, they're off the rails and they're crazy. But this was a bold prediction that I'm running with. I think not San Diego, LA. I believe LA is just they're going to be there. I think they're going to make it to the AFC Championship game. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl, but I think at the end of the year, I predict LA Chargers in the AFC Championship game, and that, my friend, is my bold prediction. I said it last week. I'm saying it again this week. NFL, look out. LA is back. And the Rams are back. I mean, LA's got 2 really great teams.
And nobody's showing
fans.
up.
No fans.
Well, I mean, the LA Chargers are still outside looking in the playoffs, right? And at the top of the AFC, you still have Pittsburgh, you have New England, you have Jacksonville. I mean, I don't know if I put them in the AFC Championship, but I think I can put them.
Well, I mean,
how about the 6th seed?
hold on.
Are you
Do
really
they play the
confident in them?
Chiefs?
I'm sorry?
Do they play the Chiefs yet?
I don't know.
So I think they've only played once. If you could look up that schedule on the stat machine.
Yeah, definitely will.
If they play the Chiefs, then I think that would be for the AFC West Championship because they have similar records right now. So if they win the division, they're in the playoffs. That's it. They don't need to worry about wild card. They just need to worry about beating the Chiefs.
So the Chargers and Chiefs are both 7-6. So yes, they would need to beat the Chiefs head up to be able to take the lead in the division. The other thing is the two wild card teams right now. I'm going to name them to you, and you tell me how much confidence you have in each one of these teams. Tennessee and Buffalo. Go.
Gosh.
Are you confident right now that they're going to hang on to their wild card spots?
Marcus Mariota is, I think he's injured. I don't know how Tennessee is the wild card.
He's always injured.
But that's the thing.
You're taking, you're hedging your bets.
Well, you start off with being in one of the worst divisions in all of football, and then the rest of their schedule is just help them out.
Yeah, in Buffalo, they kind of did the whole, Marlins thing. Like in the offseason, they got rid of most of all their good. Sammy Watkins left. Like they got rid of a lot of players over there, and I don't know how Buffalo is in the wild card right now. I don't understand that.
Well, they started out really hot.
They did, and then
then they kind of
reality hit. And it's like we're not that good.
But then they played the Colts in basically what was Planet Hoth.
Yeah,
I feel like Luke Skywalker was going to come out of nowhere. Some at-ats were going to start shooting up the field and stuff. Like it was a crazy
reference.
Snow game.
It's a really good reference.
Can't wait to watch Star Wars on Friday night.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't wait to watch it on Thursday night. Boom! Topped you.
All right.
So anyways, the Chargers play the Chiefs actually this week.
All right, so that's going to be huge for both of those teams.
Yeah.
That's going to decide the division. I think.
You're right.
I think it knocks maybe one out of the wild card race and one into solidifying their divisional championship.
So I just want to make an announcement to you gentlemen. We are officially at the 1 hour mark.
All right.
And so we had an over-under before the game, before the podcast, whether we would be over or under an hour. And I said over, so both of you guys owe me a beer.
Well, I think the system was rigged when you camped out on the Orlando Solar Bears for like 20 minutes. And you sat there and talked about them, so...
Hey, you know what, though? I got a friend in this.
I feel like you were...
Misery loves company.
I feel like you were point shaving there.
Hey, I held back on my Redskins talk. I could have gone for 6 hours.
You could have.
And
well, let's talk about one more game then.
Okay.
And it's a game that's been bothering me all week, the way everybody's reacted to it, and that's the Miami Patriots game.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, Tom Brady's done.
Tom Brady's done.
He's
Miami
retired.
has the blueprint, and I'm just sitting here thinking, do you guys not watch Patriots football over the last 15 years? Miami
They always
beats
split with
them.
Miami. At least once.
Well, because
In Miami.
they always lose to Miami.
Exactly.
If I was a betting man, I would say Tom Brady's either at 500 or just below 500 in the city of Miami. Honestly, I think they call up Will Smith and he starts playing this Miami song. They go out partying in South Beach. They're glad to get out of the snow.
Yeah.
They're chilling out with all the honeys.
Yeah.
They're doing fireball shots with Pitbull.
Hell
Real
yeah.
five.
I mean,
There's a lot of distraction.
there's a lot of
in Miami.
distraction there. They're like,
Yeah.
it's just Miami Dolphins. We don't have to take this game seriously.
Every year.
I think Tom Brady probably comes off his diet and eats a couple of strawberries and tomatoes.
Instead of tree bark.
Yeah. But come on, people saying that, the blueprint is there. This is still the Patriots that have won 5 Super Bowls over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Who have lost to Miami all the time while they've been winning these Super Bowls.
Well, so the narrative was that Tom Brady is kind of, maybe Father Time's caught up to him.
No.
But I saw a tweet earlier today, and I thought it was really funny because over the last 10 years, when you get into week 14 and 15 and 16, and it was a reference to fantasy football, but Tom Brady has bad games in those weeks because basically they've already locked up the playoffs, and he's kind of saving himself. He's like, I'm not going full tilt now because I want to bring my A game in the playoffs. So he's already on cruise control to get where he needs to be, and then in the playoffs, he'll be Tom Brady again.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. We're kidding ourselves if we think that he's actually lost a step.
In defense of, the Patriots, Jay Cutler had a big game last week, and so did the running back, Keon Drake. They both played really, really well.
Drake's an amazing running back, man. That's been great for Miami. I thought Miami was an awful team, and they're pulling it together. They looked good in that game. They probably looked better than they've looked all year.
You're right.
And Jay Cutler,
Listen,
he wants to continue on as a quarterback now because he played so good in this game.
When the secondary is doing fireball shots and chasing it with Red Bull all night long with Pitbull, you play really crappy the next night. Just saying.
Yeah. And, Gronk didn't play.
Gronk didn't play. Yep,
Gronk
he was
didn't
out.
play. That was a big loss for him.
But they won a Super Bowl without Gronk. Just remember.
That's true too.
So
they've won several Super Bowls without Gronk.
Tom Brady's won Super Bowls without anybody on a wide receiving core that you could even name. Like he's won it. Like Deion Branch was the MVP one year.
Yeah.
Deion Branch. I just Tom Brady can do it with anybody. So whoever's hurt and.
It's still crazy to me that he couldn't win a Super Bowl with Randy Moss, one of the best wide receivers of all time.
The best well-known wide receivers he's had in his team. You know?
The catch to me is still one of the best games of all time. So that actually makes that season even better.
Yeah.
Them losing because they were such a villain. I just want to throw this out there. And you mentioned it earlier about the Bucs having injuries. I think all of us could go through our teams or any team and say, well, this guy's hurt and that guy's hurt. Guess what? It's football.
Yeah.
These guys get hurt. The best teams win. If you can't have the next man up, tough shit. Get over it. We need to move on.
Yeah.
That's that.
That hurts, though.
And that was a message from Loudbeard.
So we'll see what happens when the Steelers play the Patriots this week. Should be a good game.
That's a
we
big
now
game.
have football game. We now have NFL games on Saturdays.
Oh, is this that
It's
week?
that time. It's that time of year, my man.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to update my fantasy team.
Yeah, make sure you get your fantasy teams right on Thursday and Saturday.
Well, so Saturday night is the Chargers-Chiefs game at 8:30.
No.
Yeah, so they probably
God.
flex it out to Saturday.
I have my work Christmas party that night.
Oh.
I might have to skip it.
There you go.
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
All right, guys, if you guys got nothing else, I'm ready to roll on the MVPs.
Okay,
Linsky, you got one yet?
I do have one.
All right, what's up, buddy?
So my MVP is being here.
Aww.
Thank you, and being part of this ugly sweater, competition.
Yeah.
I see, Loudbeard over there has his Redskin sweater, and
It looks like he got it from a thrift store, and it was like worn by an old man from 1975 until he died last week.
And then you have Chris America over here with his Florida Gator fleece on.
Hey,
So
we're in the Final Four for the volleyball team.
And I see that you're wearing your,
Everything University.
I see you're wearing your Louisville sweatshirt over here.
Yeah. I mean, Adidas.
Adidas. I mean, yeah. So that's a very nice touch. I'm
How
glad
much are they
brought that
paying
up.
you?
so
The University of Adidas.
You keep Adidas away from Taco Fall. We don't need none of that mess at UCF.
Hey, did you borrow that from Rick Pitino? I just want to know, where'd you get that from? Anyway, great MVP. I'm glad we got
Well,
to...
we're glad you came on the show.
Thanks, guys.
We need to get our boy Jeremy on the show.
Yeah, he'll
I
come,
keep
he'll
asking
come.
him.
He'll come eventually.
He's a
busy guy.
He's a busy guy. He's in
Yeah.
the sports world. He's got the in.
He's got the end right now. He's in the action.
He's
of the
in the
Magic
action
game
of the Magic game.
right now. So he's doing his thing.
Kyle,
so.
you got a scout team MVP?
So my MVP is a little bit off of the world of sports, and you had mentioned it just briefly a little bit earlier, but my MVP tonight is Luke Skywalker
Yeah.
because I am looking forward to seeing him tomorrow night when I get to go see the premiere of the new Star Wars movie, and all the reviews that have came back like this movie's going to be unbelievable.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to geek out a little bit. I'm a Star Wars guy through and through from the beginning. I think any cold or red-blooded American is a Star Wars guy at some point in their lives. So thank God for you, Star Wars. I get to get away from sports for one night, and then I will be back Friday night watching some more sports. So hail to you, Luke Skywalker. You are my father.
All right, so I'm going to take a page out of Anthony's book since he's not here tonight,
Okay.
and I'm going to go with the negative MVP.
Oh.
The negative MVP is going to be the NFL Network and Marshall Falk,
Warren
Sapp. Who else was it? Heath Evans, and there's somebody else that I'm missing.
Rich
Taylor.
Eisen.
Ike
Rich
Taylor.
Eisen.
No, not Rich Eisen.
Come on,
Ike
Rich.
Taylor.
Do it, Rich Eisen.
Although Rich Eisen made me mad because everybody knows that they got hit with a massive lawsuit by some female that worked in the wardrobe. And, there's all kinds of crazy claims that they sent her D-pics and, like, Marshall Falk, I think it was him or it was Ike Taylor. I know Ike Taylor sent her a video of him doing stuff in the shower. Just all kinds of weird stuff. And this is like 2016 was the year of celebrities dying. 2017 is the year of celebrities getting accused of
Harassment,
sexual
yeah.
harassment, sexual assault, and stuff like that. So my MVP goes to those guys. If it's true, obviously these are just allegations. I don't want to do that. But listen, public service announcement, fellas. No chick wants your unsolicited D pic. Just throwing that out there. Like
I disagree.
no chick is ever sitting there going, you know what this conversation needs? A picture of his D. I know we're talking about football or Star Wars or whatever, but I could really use a D pic. If a chick wants a picture of your D, she will ask for it. Don't send an unsolicited D pic. It's weird. It really is weird. It's like being on a date and then you just being like, you know what? I'm just going to whip it out right here, right now. That's what I'm going to do. That seems normal.
Please don't. So men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or whatever the old saying is, because guys would be like, hell yeah, send me unsolicited tit shots or whatever shots whenever you want.
Right.
But the other way around, it's creepy.
It's super
It gets real creepy.
And no, to be honest with you, I think it would be a little weird if I'm just like having a random conversation and then like she sends me a pic of her V and I'm just like, whoa, like where is this coming from? Now, granted, I wouldn't be as shocked as if I was a female, but it would be kind of weird if you
It's
just
true.
got a random pic of a V, like just out of nowhere, like you're not talking about anything of that nature. You're like, yeah, so the Redskins had a great game, and then she's like, yeah, this is what I think about the Redskins, and there's the V pic.
Yeah, it would be weird, but it makes you think that maybe there's a little bit more to this story than meets the eye.
No, I would be like suspicious of this chick. I'd be like, what's her story? Anyway, so MVP goes out to those guys and to guys that send unsolicited D pics. Just stop. Nobody wants to see that.
All right, and I want to thank Linsky for picking me and you, Chris America, as his MVPs tonight.
I do appreciate that.
And Anthony, you're out there too, man.
You had to bring him up, huh?
Gosh.
Now he's going to be like, hey, guys, thanks for bringing me up on the show. And we're going to be like, damn it, we got to bring him back. Now we have to bring him back.
I got one more.
If we just ignore
Oh,
him.
you got another MVP?
I got another.
All right, let's hear
I
it.
got to give it to the UCF fans that got tickets.
I got
to-
2 MVPs from Linsky tonight. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yes, UCF fans that.
Oh, no,
Um,
not that. Just UCF fans. That's me. You're
Yeah.
talking about me. I'm an
Oh,
MVP.
you're
All right, keep going. Keep going. I'm
Association.
sorry. I keep interrupting.
So UCF fans that, I think for non-Power 5 conference sold all their, allotted tickets they had to the bowl game, which is exciting. I think, when we go to the Peach Bowl in Georgia, they just announced that the running back for for Auburn is not playing.
Is he getting ready for the draft?
He's getting ready he pulled a Fournette.
Which one was
Mike
it?
Fournette. The guy that was in the Heisman race.
the one douchebag
Chubb?
McGillicuddy?
No.
Chubb or Michelle?
For Auburn. Auburn.
Oh,
No,
Auburn. Yeah.
Auburn,
Okay.
Auburn. So he's not playing. So Fournette did the same thing during his bowl
Yep,
game.
so did Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey. Yep, they did it. So
And it's smart.
it is smart. I mean, you don't want one game. You can ruin your life after one game.
Yep.
Your
Look
career.
at what happened to the Jake Butt guy at the tight end from Michigan during the FSU game in the Orange Bowl. Blew out his knee.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. One hit. That's all it takes. So
We're talking millions of dollars at stake.
Absolutely.
So it's
Millions of
important.
dollars.
I don't think that I would not make that same decision. I still hate it as a fan, but if it
Listen.
were me, I'd be making the same decision.
If Slick Willie Swaggart can jump off ship for 3 bowl games, then we can excuse a kid making no money
That's
to
fair.
jump
If
ship.
Chris America can say no to me in a ghost pepper bet, then I cannot blame these guys for not playing in the final.
All right, well, thank you, Linsky, for coming on, man.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a good time, guys.
Come out
Always
anytime.
Yeah, you were all right.
I try.
All right, guys, that's our show. Tune in next week where we'll discuss why Ricky Bobby told us he'd do an interview with us out here at the Daytona International Speedway, but ended up standing us up. See ya.
Peace.
If you're not first, you're last.